The morning sun spills over the city, washing everything in a soft golden glow. Towers rise like giants awakening from slumber, their glass walls catching the first light of day. Among the streams of people rushing to work, a young man named Peter walks briskly, his eyes full of fire and dreams far bigger than himself. In his hand, he clutches a worn leather briefcase, cracked at the edges, but inside it carries the weight of his 25-year-old ambition. Peter works in a tiny office on the 6th floor of an old building downtown. The room has only a few wooden desks and a single yellow desk lamp that hums quietly through the night. He sits before his computer, eyes fixed on the glowing screen. Lines of code and scattered sketches fill the display, the blueprint of his startup dream. Outside, the city has long fallen asleep, but his office window still glows, a lone beacon in a sea of darkness. Sweat trickles down his temple. He barely notices. Every breath, every keystroke burns with one belief: tomorrow will be different. The clock ticks endlessly beside him, each sound slicing through the silence like a reminder of how long he's been at it. A cup of coffee sits next to his keyboard, cold, untouched, forgotten hours ago. It's more than a drink now. It's proof of his endless nights. Through the glass window, the city lights flicker like stars. The reflections shimmer in Peter's tired eyes. The eyes of a man still dreaming of the day he'll make it. And even as the world outside drifts into sleep, Peter's dream stays awake.
One morning, Peter opens his laptop with the usual rush of excitement. But this time, the message waiting for him freezes his heart. His project, the one he spent every sleepless night building, has been rejected. The air around him goes still. His hand trembles, the printed plan slips from his fingers and flutters to the floor like a dying leaf. Outside, the wind whistles through the open window, carrying with it a chill that bites at his skin, and somehow at his heart. The people who once believed in him stop calling. Those who cheered him on now walk away, their faith fading like the evening sun. Calls go unanswered. Emails bounce back, and the silence is louder than any words. Peter sits alone in the dark, the only light coming from the dead glow of his computer screen. His reflection stares back, tired, defeated, unrecognizable. For the first time, he feels like the whole world has turned its back on him. Rain begins to pour outside, heavy and relentless, as if the sky itself is weeping for his broken dream. He stands up suddenly, rushes out into the storm. Cold drops crash against his face, but he doesn't care. He screams, a raw, guttural sound into the empty night, trying to tear the pain out from his chest. The sound disappears into the rain, swallowed by thunder and darkness. And then, silence again. But somewhere deep inside that silence, a spark flickers, small, fragile, but alive. The kind of spark that refuses to die.
The next morning, Peter wakes up to a quiet room and the faint light of dawn slipping through the blinds. His eyes are still swollen from a long night of tears, but something inside them has changed. There's a calm and a quiet determination. He sits at his desk, opens his laptop, and stares at the mess of old plans and failures. Then, with one deep breath, delete. Every file, every memory of what didn't work, gone. For the first time in a long time, the screen is empty, a clean slate, and maybe a second chance. Days turn into weeks. Peter reads, studies, takes notes, rewrites ideas again and again. He fails small, learns fast, and keeps moving. He meets mentors, people who once fell harder than he ever did. They talk over cups of coffee in quiet cafes, sharing stories that sound all too familiar. Each word they speak feels like a torch passed into his hands. One mentor looks him straight in the eyes and says, "Success doesn't come from winning, kid. It comes from not quitting." Peter nods. That line stays with him, echoing in his mind every time he wants to give up again. He starts rebuilding, slower this time, but stronger. Every plan is written with precision, every decision weighed with patience. Nights are still long, but they feel different now. The exhaustion doesn't sting the same way it used to. There's a quiet joy in the work, a smile that sneaks across his face even at 2 a.m. Progress comes in small wins, a positive email, a nod of approval, a small client saying yes. It's not fame, not fortune, but it's movement. One morning, his phone buzzes. A new message lights up the screen. Your project has been accepted. For a moment, Peter just stares at it, unable to breathe, unable to believe. Then his lips curve into a smile. Not a wide, triumphant grin, but a real one. Soft, earnest, grateful. It's the first genuine smile he's had in years. Because this time, it's not just about the success, it's about who he became to earn it.
Peter stands by the window, the city stretching far beneath him, bathed in the soft glow of a golden afternoon. He looks up at the sky, his eyes filled with the peace he once spent years searching for. He finally understands. Happiness doesn't come from money or fame or applause. It comes from the journey, from the climb, from every scar that shaped who he is. His phone buzzes. A message lights up the screen. It's from his mother. "I'm proud of you, Peter." He smiles, that quiet, heartfelt kind of smile that comes from somewhere deep inside. His eyes sting as memories flood back. The night he stood in the rain, screaming at the darkness. The mornings he woke up with nothing but a dream and stubborn hope. He types a reply. "Thank you, Mom. I'm still moving forward." Leaning back in his chair, Peter gazes out the window again. The sky outside is a soft canvas of clouds and sunlight, and for the first time he feels like he belongs in it. Gratitude fills his heart, not for the success, but for the failures that taught him to rise, for the pain that made him strong, and for the people who stayed when everything else fell apart. A soft piano tune hums from his speaker, gentle, warm, almost like a whisper from life itself. Peter nods slowly, whispering under his breath, "Thank you for not giving up." The camera pulls back. The feed fades into worn light. Peter sits by the window, bathed in gold, peaceful and still. Outside, the city keeps moving. Cars rushing by, people chasing their own dreams. But now, Peter is different. He's no longer chasing. He's living. A line appears on screen. Sometimes failure isn't the end. It's the beginning of something greater. The last shot is Peter walking down a sunlit street, his shadow stretching forward, leaves swirling gently in the wind, the morning sky wide and blue above him. The light follows him, not because he's chasing it, but because he's become part of it. Fade to white.
The story ends in silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of peace. A story not about winning, but about becoming.